So let's jump in to our 4 negotiation tactics, okay? Number 1, I'm going to start out with a very simple 3-part framework. Then we're going to talk about how to leverage time. We're going to talk about how to internalize this, memorize these strategies, and then we're going to talk a lot about being a chameleon and what that means and how negotiations help when you're a chameleon. So let's start with negotiation tactic number 1, a 3-part framework, what we call the 3 options method. Now, some of you I know have attended class and you've heard this and you're like, oh, Brendan, I know when we're talking about price, it's this or that or that. Kind of. You might have heard this in some different options or different classes but of ours, but I want you to understand that this framework works in every type of scenario. So here's what it looks like. When we are negotiating and when we have 2 parties that we're trying to get to come together, or you're one of the parties and you're trying to get the other party to come together, what we're always trying to think about when we're presenting information is to give options. And usually when we give options, we have 3 choices: terrible, problematic, and fantastic. So go ahead and write those down: terrible, problematic, and fantastic. Now, when we put this into practical use, I want you to think about a person's psychology. So when we have, let's say, a deal go under contract, we're going to go through some scenarios here in a second, but any type of situation that comes up, before you jump on the phone or before you meet with them, and we're going to talk about the best ways to do this negotiation, because when we're going to learn how to do it, and then what are the best ways to do it. Is it phone, text, email, all of that? But the first thing is we have to make sure that we sit down and we go, okay, what's the terrible outcome? So if I had to create an option that was a terrible outcome, buyer cancels the deal, seller walks away from the sale, they don't sign the agreement, whatever it is, that's the nuclear option. That's terrible. The middle option is the problematic option where, yes, it will work. It'll get you moving and maybe get the conversation happen, but it has a series of problems that could come along with it that could cause concern. And then the final option is fantastic. So it's going, you do this, we end up at Disneyland, we're popping bottles, we're happy, everybody's celebrating, and we have that framework. So here's how this looks in real speed or full speed. So let's talk about this in the mindset of a price adjustment. In the chat box, does anybody currently have an active listing right now? If so, just put yes in the chat box, right? If you have an active listing, put yes in the chat box. Thank you. At least one of us does. I was like, good, we got to get to work. Yeah. Great. Congrats to all of you, right? Now we got to get it sold, right? So we've got to have price adjustments because if it's active right now, and unless you listed it 3 hours ago, we got to get it sold. So this is going to be a powerful situation here with the price adjustment and people get all freaked out about it. So remember, if I'm calling up the seller, so I'm going to call up Tennille and I'm going to say, hey, Tennille, we've been on the market now for 3, 4, 5, 7 days, 6 weeks, whatever your number is, right? Any home that's on the market longer than 3 days needs a price adjustment. Let me say that again. Any home that's been on the market longer than 3 days needs a price adjustment. Why? Because if it was priced accurately, it would have sold in the first 72 hours. The market is telling us, well, 65 hours, but the market is telling us that it's not responding, so we need to fix that situation. Well, Brendan, the average days on a market in this neighborhood is 45, so we're good. We've got 45 days to figure this out. That's a lie we tell ourselves. Average days on market means that a bunch of other agents didn't price the property accurately either. So get out of your heads that time is on your side when it comes to waiting for a buyer to purchase your listing, okay? So I'm going to call up Tennille and I'm going to say, hey, Tennille, we've been on the market now for about 4 days. We've had 6 showings, no offers, and unfortunately, no one is moving forward to make an offer. So Tennille, at this point, we have 3 options. Option number 1, we can hope and pray that somebody shows up, right? We can just keep waiting. Days on market will keep building up and we can hope and pray someone shows up. Option number 2, we can add more value to the home so that we attract more buyers. So we could do that by, updating the kitchen, fixing the landscaping, painting the exterior of the house. We can increase the value so hopefully more buyers want to come at this current price. Or number 3, we can just adjust the price to open it up to a larger pool of buyers so we can get you to a successful closing so you can be with your grandma in Arkansas where you want to be. What would you like to do? So that's called the 3-option method in real speed. And I'm going to show you how to apply this to everything. Now, I just used this weekend. I have a client, $2 million property that's going to be closing on Tuesday. Thank goodness, right? That I did this exact same process with over an inspection objection. Well, it's probably a week and a half ago on the inspection objection. It's a cash deal, so it's closing quick. But I did this exact same process with an inspection objection, which I'll show you how to do here. I do this all the time when we're talking about anything that anybody has an objection to, think about, or an issue that you're having. If you want to negotiate, the best negotiators provide options. Now, when you see this terrible, problematic, or fantastic method, if they come back and they go, well, you know what? I think we just want to do nothing and hope and pray. I'm going to teach you a method on where to take that next, right? If the problematic is like, well, yeah, Brendan, I guess we could go ahead and remodel the kitchen, take it off the market for a few months. I'm going to show you a technique on how to get them away from that. And then if they end up at fantastic where you want them to be, you go, excellent. I will get the paperwork over to you. I will get everything done, and we will make sure that we get you, to your grandma where you want to be. Please write this down. What is the motivation? When we know motivation and we understand motivation, then it really helps us understand how we need to leverage what they want versus what they're upset about. What they want in the end game versus what they're currently upset about now, or maybe not wanting to deal on at this moment. Okay? So the next one, inspection objection from buyer's agent, right? So we receive an inspection objection from the buyer's agent, right? And now we have to present this to our seller. And this is where I'm watching deals blow up. Because, and here's where you're going to get uncomfortable, we think that our goal with our sellers at times is to get them to negotiate and do certain things because we get in our emotions and go, I can't believe the buyer requested to have 3 light bulbs replaced. Are they kidding me? 3 light bulbs? So when you talk to your seller, you're going, yeah, John, that 3 light bulb thing's ridiculous. We're just going to tell them you're not going to do that. And the deal blows up over something stupid. It is not your job to recommend or provide your emotional input on what you think is right or wrong in this situation. Your job is to help them get to a successful closing. That's what they want. Okay? I've had plenty of agents where they've told me they were negotiating an inspection objection and it failed over $1,000, $500, whatever it was, had to put it back on the market, and then another offer didn't come in for another 3 or 4 weeks and it came in $5,000 under the last offer. So did you really help your seller in that situation? Okay? So think about that. Scott, you have a great question. So Scott asks, so what would you say when they ask, what would you do, Brendan? So when I present the 3 options, they're like, well, I don't know, Brendan, what would you do? Well, I would always go back to this. Is a great question, Scott. So first of all, it's always your decision, whoever I'm talking to. When we talk about point number 1, if we hope and pray, here's my concern and here's the issues that can come up. Number 2, if we took it off the market, redid the kitchen, here's my concerns on how that could affect the sellability of it. The interest rates could increase. The contractors might not put in something that other people want. There's a number of issues there. So Susie and Bob, when we look at the last option, which is adjust the price to open it up to a broader pool of potential customers or buyers, right? That one is the easiest that provides you the least amount of risk. But it's still, what would you like to do? Because I don't want to ever tell them anything. If I tell them, I think you should do this, I recommend you this. If I go into someone, I go, I think you should drop your price by $25,000. They go, I think you should drop your commission by $25,000, right? Of course they think that, our mindset is trying to tell them to do something, because if we are successful, we get paid. That's why you can never go into those scenarios that way. It's always, here's the risk versus reward. What would you like to do? It's a great question, Scott. Thank you. All right. Oh, so sorry, back to this one. So buyer's agent, right? Now we've received the inspection items with all of these items. First thing we can do, so now before I call my seller, let's back this up so you understand how to really take this into full speed. Before I call my seller, I'm going to think through my plan. So on the piece of paper, I want you in the future now to write down terrible, problematic, fantastic. What are the 3 options here that I can provide my seller that are either going to lead to a terrible outcome, a problematic outcome, or a fantastic outcome? Now I'm going to design my data and my conversation around those 3 options, and then I'm going to stay calm and just keep going through them, and it's still going to be their decision no matter what at the end of the day. But when you do this properly, you're going to end up at a lot more fantastics than terribles and problematics. Right? And even if when you do this on your piece of paper, I always put a smiley face next to the fantastic, because I'm like, that's where I want to end up, is smile, is happy town, right? I'm trying to go to happy town. Okay? So let's do this in real speed. This just happened on my listing, $2 million, 9811 Oak Springs Trail. So buyer sends over. Basically, she was on vacation, buyer's agent was on vacation in Europe, decided to take the inspection objection report. I literally think she just copied the entire thing and pasted it into the inspection objection. And that was her inspection objection. Have we all seen that, right? It is the worst. And you're like, okay, this is stupid. So I looked at this and I said, yeah. So I looked at this and I said, okay, the terrible outcome for this is my seller looks at this and goes, screw it, I'm not going to do anything. I've already negotiated on the price. I've given them 3 pieces of furniture, right? This is how they're thinking. They can take this inspection objection and shove it up their wazoo for all I care. That's the terrible option, right? So the terrible is stick it up their wazoo, I'm not doing squat. Problematic is I'm going to get them to either provide a concession or a combination of repairs and concession, and we're going to move forward to a successful closing, right? So there's problems in there because we could send this over and they could still reject it and walk away, right? And walk away. And that's problematic. Or the third, the seller is going to complete all items and move forward. If we do that, are we going to end up at the closing table? We're going to have a lot higher success of doing it. But sometimes we go into this, and just like Scott asked earlier, they're going to ask you, so what do you think we should do? And if you go, because this is how our natural instinct goes, our first natural instinct is, well, I think if you did like a couple of the things, like that would be awesome. Like, and I can come back to them and see what they'll say. Now, when I say this is in the realm of sanity. If there's insane things like there's always there's a crazy level to this and a normal level to this. I'm saying 99% of the time, if you get the seller to just take care of the items, you're going to make sure that you're moving forward to a successful closing. Please write this down. Every time I counter, I'm presenting a new offer to the buyer. Anytime you counter anything, you're presenting a brand new offer to the buyer, which they can either accept or decline. They've just presented you an offer. They're under contract. Now they're saying, here's the items that we feel we need to move forward to a successful closing. You might not think they're in the realm of reality, but if they're reasonable and it's not like the world's going to blow up and you're not screwing your seller over, have the seller do the items so you move forward. That's the goal. Don't risk the jeopardy of putting a property in risk over $1,000 of repairs. Now, some of you are going, but what if my clients don't have the money? There's different, of course, that's what we call instead of an objection, that's an actual contingency. Like they can't do a certain thing because they don't have enough money. That's different. But if this is a seller that's just going, I don't want to, that's a different story than I can't. Physically or financially. Okay? So we are trying to get things resolved. Our goal in this is to stay calm, work with the other agent, work with our buyers and sellers to stay calm and get it to move forward. That's the goal, okay? Should the agent contribute to repairs, Sandy says? Absolutely not. Did you ruin their house? You the one that didn't redo the floors? You took a sledgehammer to the, whatever, right? No, never. This is your money. When I say never, unless you have to get the deal done, right? Right? If it's an absolute, you have to get the deal done, then that's a business decision that you make. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you ever negotiating your compensation into a deal. I've had sellers come back and go, Brendan, well, would you be able to shave something off? Because if it's going to cost us $1,000 to paint this, that's a lot of money. And I go, unfortunately, the defects of your home have nothing to do with the compensation that I get for bringing a buyer to purchase your property. You've hired me to do this. I've done this. Now you have a decision if you'd like to move forward or not. So again, John, I ask you, what would you like to do? Right? It's not my money that needs to be in play for these items. Okay? All right. Now, my favorite one. Woo! Buyer agents, and anyone that's working with buyers, please pay attention to this part. Your buyer goes on the inspection, sees the report, and they want everything. Right? So that's the terrible option. They go, well, yeah, and here's the phrase I hear all the time. You can't get it if you don't ask for it, right? It's worth a shot. Like, might as well just ask them and see what they say. And you go, okay, I'll write it up. And you write this up, and then you send it over, and you just sent a nuclear bomb to the listing agent that they now have to try to decompress to keep this deal alive. But Brendan, it's what my buyers wanted. I understand that, right? But your goal is to what? Get them the house. That's what they want, the house, okay? So that's what we're trying to do, is focus on getting them the house. So the terrible option is let them put everything on the inspection objection. That's terrible. The problematic one is we can focus on health and safety issues, maybe do a combination, or just ask for a concession in lieu of the items so we can repair them ourselves. It can be good. It can be done. It's not good. It can be done, but it's a problem. The seller now is going to have the ability to reject it, which could cause pain in the deal or maybe not move forward. The last option is fantastic. So, John, Susie, I know there's a few items on the inspection report that came through, but you do want to purchase this home, correct? You want to move into this home. So I just want to advise you that any request that we put in for any repairs, the seller can come back and reject, right? And they'll just say, no, thank you. And so we want to be very careful of how we move forward, because number one, if you're okay with, doing the touch-up paint and, I know the garage door has a dent in it, we're not buying a brand new home here. This home obviously was used by another person. But if we do not submit any inspection objection at all, then we're going to guarantee the fact that we're moving forward to a successful closing. So again, Bob and Susie, I ask you, what would you like to do? Okay? And you'll be surprised at times when they just go, we'll just do that. Like, fine. Life's better. Everything moves forward. You didn't screw them over. There was nothing unfiduciary about that. There's nothing in that. It's their decision, right? So Deborah says, our team will help the seller if they don't have the money. They reimburse us at closing. I love that. Win-win. That's fantastic. Jurgen says, be realistic. What would you like to do? My favorite takeaway. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Rosie, that you're going to get this verbiage down, and I'm going to give you another line here that's going to be very helpful, right? So the next one, if they object to any of those, I can appreciate that. Here's my concern. So if they go for the terrible or problematic option, I can appreciate that you may want to just, reject the offer altogether. But here's my concern. And then you go into your data points. Remember, we prepared this conversation before we got on the phone or met with them in person with data. We've only had this amount of showings. You've been on the market for this amount of time. There's 3 other properties that are listed $100,000 less than you. Data, data, data. And data is just presented in a calm and very chill way. But here's my concern. The problematic option. Well, yes, you could only request health and safety items, but here's my concern. If we do that, right, and you go down that road. So always just remember, 3 options. If they get stuck on terrible and problematic, keep going back to your data points and go, I can appreciate that, but here's my concern. Now, I had sent over to you earlier that we've had 9 showings, data, data. So if you go down this route, we could end up not being at a successful closing. So when we go back to this, anytime I present this, like let's do this one, right? The terrible option, we can hope and pray and not end up at a successful closing. Number 2, right, the problematic, right? We could do these items, send them over, they could reject it, and possibly not end up at a successful closing. Or option number 3, Jim and Susie, we can do everything that they've asked for and guarantee that you end up at a successful closing. What would you like to do? That's it, right? Right? And Rosie says, do we label them as terrible, problematic, and fantastic, or is it for our reference internally? Just for your reference internally. Yeah, do not tell this to the client. It's a great question, Rosie. Yeah, just don't be like, all right, the first option I'm going to give you is terrible. The second one, it's got some problems. The third is going to be fantastic. I'm glad you're bringing it up, Rosie. That's a great question. Yeah, I should have said that from the start. Yeah, no. And I used to use, instead of terrible, I used to use the word nuclear, right? I was like, that's the nuclear option. This whole thing blows up. But Anna McKeel, my business partner and friend, told me that was too aggressive. So she said, it's just a terrible option. So that's what we're trying to build, is this framework. And then you're talking them off the ledge when they pick the other 2. And here's the other piece that I want you to write down. It just takes patience. It takes patience. I've been on calls where I've literally repeated myself probably 65 times because they have to hear it over and over again. You're taking them from a high level of resistance to a low level of resistance. That takes time, patience, and sticking to facts and not emotion. That's what wins negotiations all the time. Try as your hardest to have no emotion in this whatsoever. Because if you do, they're going to sense it on you. And we call that commission breath. If they think they're trying to guide them to a specific outcome, that's commission breath. You're breathing down my neck because you want to get paid, you scumbag. That's not who we want to be. We don't want to be scumbags. We want to provide options. Options, always options, okay? So that's tactic 1. Now, the great thing about this works in your personal relationships as well, right? This works in your personal relationships. So anytime, let's just say my wife, for example, and if any of you repeat this to her, I will be very upset. She couldn't be on this Zoom right now because a friend of hers is in town. So that's why I can talk a lot of trash right now. It's very, very fun for me. So she goes, Brendan, I want to buy XYZ purse for $10,000. What do you think? Well, let's talk about the options, right? And I go, terrible option is buying a purse for $10,000, right? That's terrible. So I know that's a terrible option. The middle one is problematic because, again, if I come back to her and I say, you know what? So, honey, you can, option 1 is you could buy this purse and spend $10,000 on it. Option number 2 is maybe we could buy, a more affordable purse and then use the other money to save so we can retire one day. Maybe we could do that as well. Or maybe option number 3, sweetie, you're so pretty, you don't need that freaking purse at all. Why don't we just not buy the purse and just me and you make out? Let's just go make out right now. Let's just go. Let's go make out, right? I joke about these things, but it's always 3 options. I'm just trying to get away from the nuclear one, which is having a $10,000 purse. So get comfortable with this and stay calm with it. No matter what she says, right? She's going to be like, but I work hard. I don't care what you want. I want that $10,000 purse. Honey, I can appreciate that, but here's my concern, right? just goes the same way over and over. And do not tell her I told you I have this tactic. I probably will get screwed. And believe me, she's going to buy the purse anyway. It's probably not going to matter. But, right? So, but use it, practice this. Practice it in your regular life. Practice it in regular situations. So when it's time to use it with the clients, it's fun. Yeah.